Anniversaries. Alright, so I'm going to tell you guys about the anniversary that I never had. Basically, I've been married before. It's kind of hard to believe. I'm a pretty young guy, but I actually got married once. It was actually right around this time of the year in 2007. I married a woman named Kimberly Ekman. It's cool, we can use her real name because she doesn't live anywhere nearby. But I married this woman. We had been together for about 3.5 years. We had gotten engaged, and we were engaged for over a year. And we had planned to not have our wedding for about another year from the point that we actually got married back in December of 2007. But she had some issues with her jaw. She was getting headaches and needed to get some surgery done. And I was teaching at a university in Texas at the time, so I decided that we should get married so that she could get my health benefits. It seemed like a rational thing to do. We just kind of moved a little bit ahead. Her parents even sent us out a gift. They said, here's $10,000. You can either spend it or you can use it towards a wedding down the road. And she said she was going to use it for the wedding down the road. It turned out she actually spent it, but that's another story. Yeah, she was full of all sorts of trouble. But basically, right after we got married, things just kind of changed within the dynamic of our relationship. Things have been pretty good. At least they had seemed pretty good. I mean, looking back, there were definitely a lot of issues, but I was kind of what you would call pussy whipped at the time. I mean, I'm going to be honest, you know. So things seemed great to me. And we were together through this whole period, and things seemed good. But right after we got married, things just started getting very, very weird. She started acting very distant. She said she was going through this sort of like changing period in her life where she was going through this self-growth period, and she was practicing yoga and doing crystal work and stuff like that. And she basically told me that she couldn't be in the same room with me anymore, and that I had to sleep in the guest room. We had a 3-bedroom place and we had a guest room. So she told me I needed to sleep in the guest room, and I was like, all right, you know, maybe this is a temporary thing. She's working some stuff out. I'll sleep in the guest room. So I went with that for a while, but I could just tell that over time things were getting weirder and weirder. We weren't having a lot of sex, we weren't being too intimate. I tried to hug her and she'd seem very cold and removed. And then there was this other layer of weirdness where she was coming home really late on Friday nights. Now, she had her own business at the time. That was one of the reasons we got married, was because she had her own business, so she didn't have health benefits. So she told me that she was coming home late on Fridays because she was working in sort of the real estate world, and told me that she was out late trying to recruit clients at a lot of these hip bars out in Texas. We lived in Austin, Texas at the time. So it turned out she was recruiting clients, but not in the way that I initially thought. So I totally was oblivious to what was going on. She'd come home late and give me that excuse, and it would continue on. And I'd be like, okay, she's just working really hard. Things are really tough, etc. But over the months, by the time April hit, she was just getting more and more distant. We hadn't had sex for a very long period of time, and that was not cool. And it was just getting more and more awkward. So I got to the point where I was like, look, we need to see a counselor. This is not working out. So I made an appointment to see a marriage counselor. She showed up to the first meeting and didn't say much. And then the second time around, we came to see another wedding, the marriage counselor for a second time, and she just didn't even show up. And I was like, I really think this can work, marriage counselor. What am I supposed to do? And she's like, look at this situation. She's not even here. What does this say to you? So I'm like, all right, let me give it one more try. And I made another appointment for the following week. We went and met with the marriage counselor, and sure enough, she didn't show up again. So that was just kind of the end of the line. I was like, all right, you know what, screw this. She is obviously not making an effort to be with me. I'm over this. So I finally got to the point where I came home that night and I said, look, you haven't met with the marriage counselor. You obviously don't care about us. And she was like, no, really, I want to work it out. I've just been so busy with work. It's really tough. And I told her it was over. So we decided we were going to move out and split apart, but we were still living in the same place, and it was really awkward. So about a week later, I was starting to clean my stuff out of the house, and I finally went back into the master bedroom, which I hadn't been in for months because she was doing all that crystal work. And I went in there to try to find a few books that I had lying around because I knew I didn't have all my books in the guest room, and I came across this journal entry. Or this diary, and it was just like a notebook. It looked like a random notebook that any student would have, and I started flipping through it because I just was like, what's this? And at first it was just a bunch of real estate information, nothing that looked suspicious or anything like that. But I flipped to the very last page and it was dated May 1st, 2008, basically a few days before I told her it was over, and it said, I don't want to be with Josh anymore, I'm not happy in this relationship, and what about my lover? I don't want to lose them both. Neil and I need to move to Australia. And I was like, okay, holy crap. Who the hell is Neil? So this is why she's been out late on Friday nights. And I put two and two together, and then I realized that Neil was a 57-year-old guy that she had been interning for. And she was 24 years old. And let me just say that they're still happily together. He's 60-something now, and she's like 26 or something like that. And I'm here with a much more classy, awesome woman named Lisa. So I'm very happy.